the flying tank. Now, during the height of World War II, military engineers on both sides of the conflict were trying to develop new and interesting ways to deliver tanks to the battlefield. The British had a novel idea. What if we took a perfectly good tank and gave it wings? I mean, they were already making tanks with guns on them. How hard could it be to put a few more guns on it and call it a day? Well, as it turns out, adding wings to a tank is harder than it looks, but that didn't stop them from trying. By 1942, the British War Office had approved the development of a flying tank concept. The idea was simple. A twin-engine glider would be built, one with the ability to carry a small tank. The glider would be towed into the sky by a larger aircraft like a flying fortress. And once it reached a certain altitude, the engines would cut out, allowing the glider and its cargo to fall towards the battlefield below. Then, just before impact with the ground, the pilot would deploy a parachute to hopefully bring the tank to a stop before it ran over any civilians or, exploded. But here's the thing, it didn't fly, or glide, or land. In fact, it kind of just fell from the sky with the grace of a brick. There were several prototypes built, but all of them suffered from the same issue. They were incredibly difficult to control and not at all accurate. So the idea was scrapped, and the project was eventually handed over to the Americans. Now, the Americans took one look at this flying brick and said, well, that's not gonna work, but we can fix that. So they added a tail fin to increase stability and made several other modifications to try to improve its performance. Now, this version actually did fly, sort of. It still wasn't very good at landing, but hey, at least it was getting off the ground. Unfortunately, by the time they had it somewhat under control, the war in Europe was nearly over, and the threat of invasion from Nazi Germany no longer existed. So the flying tank ended up right back where it started, on the drawing board. Now, despite the fact that it never quite flew as it was intended to, there were still some valuable lessons learned from the project. Gliders with heavy payloads are tricky to design, and even trickier to fly. But that didn't stop anyone from trying. And sometimes the results were downright spectacular, if not always successful. If you like this story, check out the series where we bring you the most epic ideas from history's greatest inventors. Also, don't forget to follow for more fun history facts.